Most people have no idea how they actually make other people feel, and the ones who do, they're usually wrong about themselves in exactly the opposite way you'd expect. Psychologists have spent decades studying emotional intelligence, what it actually looks like in real people, in real moments, and one of the most consistent findings in that research: the people who score highest on emotional intelligence rarely describe themselves as emotionally intelligent. They're usually the ones who wonder if they're too sensitive, who spends a little too long thinking about a conversation that ended 2 hours ago, who notices things about the people around them that no one else seems to pick up on. If any part of that sounds familiar, this video is for you, because today we're covering 8 signs that your emotional intelligence is significantly higher than you've given yourself credit for. And some of these might genuinely surprise you. Stay with us through all 8, because sign number 6 is the one most people completely misread as a weakness. Sign number 1. You feel uncomfortable when you say too much. Most people, after a conversation, replay the parts where they felt awkward or embarrassed. But people with high emotional intelligence have a specific discomfort that others don't. They cringe when they talk over someone, when they interrupted, when they gave advice nobody asked for. Research from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence shows that high EQ individuals self-monitor their verbal behavior far more closely than average, not because they're anxious, but because they genuinely care about how the other person is receiving them. The silence after you speak matters to you. Most people don't even notice it. Here's where it gets a little uncomfortable, because sign number 2 isn't a strength people tend to celebrate. Sign number 2. You absorb other people's moods without meaning to. You walk into a room, and something feels off before a single word is spoken. You get off a phone call and feel inexplicably heavy, even though nothing obviously bad happened. You sit next to someone in silence and somehow come away feeling what they were feeling. This is called emotional contagion, and most people experience it to some degree, but high EQ individuals experience it at a significantly amplified level. Neuroscientists believe this is connected to a more active mirror neuron system, the brain circuitry that allows us to simulate the internal states. It can be exhausting, but it's also the root of real empathy, not the pretending kind. Sign number 3. You have a complicated relationship with anger. Not because you're volatile, the opposite actually. People with high emotional intelligence often feel anger. They feel it clearly, but they experience an immediate and almost involuntary delay before expressing it. Psychologists call this the pause and plan response, and it's distinct from suppression. You're not pushing the anger down, you're feeling it completely while simultaneously running a quiet internal calculation about whether expressing it will actually help anything. The cost is that people sometimes read this as emotional unavailability. They think you don't care, but you care more than they realize. You're just unwilling to weaponize that feeling. Signs 1 through 3 can feel like burdens, but this next one, sign 4, is why people come back to you. Sign number 4. People tell you things they don't tell anyone else, not because you asked, not because you're a therapist or a priest or even particularly good at giving advice, but because something in the way you listen signals safety. You don't interrupt with your own story. You don't reach for your phone. You don't give advice before the other person has finished speaking, just to feel helpful. Daniel Goleman, whose work on emotional intelligence shaped the field, describes this as attunement, the ability to make another person feel genuinely heard. It's rarer than people think, and the people who experience it with you, they feel it immediately, even if they can't name it. Sign number 5. You need more recovery time after social events than most people expect. This one gets misread constantly, and it's often confused with introversion, but they're not the same thing. What's actually happening is that your nervous system processes social interactions at a higher resolution. You're not just experiencing the conversation. You're tracking the subtext and the micro-expressions. There was a slight tension in someone's voice when they said they were fine. The topic was changed too quickly by the end of a social event. You haven't just attended a party. You've been running an ongoing emotional analysis for 2 hours straight. The fatigue that follows isn't weakness. It's the cost of paying a level of attention that most people don't even know is possible. We promised you sign 6, and here it is, the one that most people misread entirely. Sign number 6. You feel things longer than other people do, not more dramatically, not more visibly, just longer. A kind gesture from 3 days ago still sits warmly somewhere in your chest. A sharp word from last week still has a small edge to it. A piece of music you've heard 100 times still hits you the same way it did the first time. Society has decided that this is a problem, that if you feel things for longer than is convenient, you need to toughen up, move on, let it go. But here's what the research actually says. A study published in Psychological Science found that individuals who process emotional experiences more slowly and thoroughly, who stay with feelings rather than rushing past them, demonstrate greater emotional memory, stronger social bonding, and higher empathic accuracy over time. The length of your feeling is not the measure of your fragility. It is the measure of your depth. Sign number 7. You notice when someone is performing fine. There is a kind of performance that most people find completely convincing, a smile that arrives a half second too late, a laugh that doesn't quite reach the eyes, and I'm good that's technically accurate but somehow hollow. Most people accept these at face value, not because they don't care, but because they're not tuned to the frequency you are. And the difficult thing about this particular ability is that it creates a choice in real time. Do you say something, knowing it might make the other person feel exposed? Or do you let it pass, knowing that you've now noticed something they were trying to hide? That moment of conscience, the fact that you feel it at all, is itself a sign of emotional intelligence. Socially intelligent people navigate this tension constantly. Most people don't even realize it exists. Sign 8, and this one might be the most quietly powerful of all. Sign number 8. You find it genuinely difficult to dislike someone once you understand them, not forgive necessarily, not approved of, understand. There's a difference when you learn what someone has been through, what shaped them, what they were afraid of, what they wanted was something in you that softens, even when you don't want it to, even when you think it shouldn't. This is sometimes called radical empathy, and it can create real problems in your life because it makes it hard to hold simple, clean judgments about people. It's much easier to write someone off completely. Your emotional intelligence won't let you do that. And while the world doesn't always reward this, it does in the long run. Make you someone worth knowing. Stay with us, because now we want to give you the science behind all of this. And honestly, the most important thing to understand about emotional intelligence that almost no one talks about. Emotional intelligence as a field is often misrepresented. The popular idea that it's about being calm, being kind, knowing the right thing to say misses the more interesting and difficult truth, the original framework. Developed by psychologists Peter Salovey and John Mayer in the early 90s, defined EQ as the ability to perceive, use, understand, and manage emotions in yourself and in others. Do not suppress them, not perform the absence of them, work with them. As information. If you recognize yourself in most of these signs, we want you to know something, the qualities that sometimes feel like too much. The depth of feeling, the need for recovery, the inability to simply write people off. These are not design flaws. They are the architecture of a genuinely perceptive human being. The world needs fewer people who are armored against feeling, and more people who have learned to work with it. You might already be one of those people, even if no one has ever told you so. If you found this video useful, or if one of these signs describes someone you love, share it with them. Sometimes the most useful thing we can do is hand someone a mirror at exactly the right moment. You asked us for this video, and we delivered. We have a lot more on emotional intelligence, relationships, and the psychology of how we experience ourselves and each other. If you want to keep going, the next video is right here. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one. We are Neuroform Studios, Foundation, Guidance, Transformation.